growing up as a kid, yeah. All a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from
PJ Walker, the quarterback of the future for the Carolina Panthers. Now, PJ Walker, for those of you guys who don't know, was signed by the Carolina Panthers a couple of months ago. Now, PJ Walker played in the XFL before the XFL ended up ending the league, and he ended up signing with the Carolina Panthers. Now, PJ Walker had several offers from several NFL teams, but he decided to go ahead and play for his former college head coach, Matt Rule. Now, Matt Rule coached at Temple with PJ Walker. So PJ Walker has some familiarity with Matt Rule and how Matt Rule likes to run his team. Now, PJ Walker in the XFL, he threw for 1,338 passing yards, 15 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, while completing 65% of his passes. He also had 99 rushing yards, averaged 4.1 yards per carry, and had 1 rushing touchdown as well. Now, when you look at PJ Walker in the XFL, he was heads and shoulders above any other quarterback in the XFL. And it wasn't even close. I mean, this guy was a superior quarterback in it. This guy was basically an NFL caliber quarterback playing in the XFL. Now, is he an NFL caliber starter? Not right now. This is a guy who still needs some work. He still needs some grooming. But this guy is 25 years old. The Panthers can bring him in, let him sit a year or two behind Teddy Bridgewater, and then this guy can potentially be the starting quarterback in Carolina. And when you look at PJ Walker, you got to look at PJ Walker differently than what you would look at any other quarterback. You see, PJ Walker, you got to look at him as like a quarterback coming out of the NFL draft. He's young. He has some skills. He has some good traits, but he also has a lot of things that he needs to work on to be successful on the NFL level. So you bring him in, you let him sit for a year or two. You let him learn underneath Teddy Bridgewater. And then eventually, when you're ready to get rid of Teddy Bridgewater, you just had enough of Teddy Bridgewater, you can go ahead and start PJ Walker. PJ Walker is the equivalent of a first-round quarterback without having to use a first-round pick. And another thing about PJ Walker is that I think PJ Walker fits this Joe Brady system really well. Now, the common knock that a lot of people have on PJ Walker is that he went undrafted. He went undrafted out of Temple. He got signed by the Indianapolis Colts, and he didn't make their 53-man roster, but he made their practice squad. So a lot of people say he wasn't good enough to get drafted. He wasn't good enough to make the Indianapolis Colts 53-man roster, JT. He had to play in the XFL. And given those things happened, but let's not confuse things. PJ Walker is a better quarterback now than what he was a few years back when he was undrafted out of Temple and when he was playing for the Indianapolis Colts. This guy has improved. He has developed, and he has came a long way from what he used to be. And a lot of people act like it hasn't been undrafted quarterbacks in the past that have went to similar leagues like the XFL and got cut by NFL teams that had to go that route, such as Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner had to go play in NFL Europe. What about Warren Moon? Warren Moon had to play in the CFL for several seasons. So, I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen an undrafted quarterback get picked up and not have success in the NFL. It's been several quarterbacks that have went undrafted in the NFL draft and have had pretty successful careers. Another knock is that he doesn't have the strongest arm and that he's basically Kyle Allen 2.0. PJ Walker is not Kyle Allen 2.0. First of all, PJ Walker has a better arm and he has a better football IQ, reads defenses, and can make a lot of throws that Kyle Allen would never be able to make. And PJ Walker is the great fit for Joe Brady's system. Because you want to know who PJ Walker reminds me of? Joe Brady was the same guy who was calling plays, the passing game coordinator for LSU, with Joe Burrow. And what's a similar knock on Joe Burrow? Didn't have a lot of arm strength, but was accurate with the football and made good decisions. And had some mobility. What does PJ Walker have? He has mobility, he has good accuracy, and he's pretty good making decisions with the football. And when you look at how Joe Brady likes to run his system, It's not just all throwing all these kind of deep balls and home run balls all the time. It's taking what the defense gives you underneath and having wide receivers that are able to make plays with the ball in their hands. And the Carolina Panthers have that. You got Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore. So, I mean, they have the playmakers to fit and build around P.J. Walker. And P.J. Walker also has played under Matt Rule. And when you're a new head coach, you want to have players that are easily able to buy into your system. P.J. Walker can easily come in and buy into Matt Rule because he knows what Matt Rule is about because he's played underneath Matt Rule. Then, another thing is, while you guys keep talking about P.J. Walker not having that great of an arm, he's Kyle Allen 2.0, you can say the same thing about Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have a great arm. So, I mean, I just think that that's a little bit of a lazy argument there comparing P.J. Walker to Kyle Allen, because you go back and you watch the tape from the XFL, P.J. Walker, in my opinion, is better than Kyle Allen. And for all you guys are saying the XFL is not good, you guys do realize that a lot of people that played in the XFL this past season are on NFL rosters as of right now going into training camp. Now, whether they make the roster or don't make the rosters to be decided, but the fact that they made it to that point is an achievement. Not only that, but the XFL isn't just full with a lot of inexperienced guys who couldn't make it in the NFL. You had all kinds of players in the XFL. You had long-term veterans that played in the NFL for 8 years. You had guys who were looking to prove themselves. You had guys that were looking to get drafted. Like, it was one guy, he was a safety. I can't think of his name, but he got drafted out of the XFL. He played for West Virginia, and he ended up transferring. He wasn't academically eligible to play, so ended up deciding to go to the XFL. He had a good season in the XFL. He entered the NFL draft and got drafted. So the XFL, in my opinion, is the best professional football league other than the NFL that we've ever had. Better than the Arena Football League, better than the CFL, better than the AAF. So the XFL had talent. P.J. Walker wasn't playing against scrubs. He was playing against guys that came from all kinds of NFL backgrounds, young and experienced. So when you look at P.J. Walker, I think P.J. Walker is a great fit in Joe Brady's system. He has some athleticism. Well, not even some athleticism. This guy has a pretty good bit of athleticism. He also is able to make a lot of throws that Kyle Allen wasn't able to make. He's accurate to football, makes good decisions. And I think if you're the Carolina Panthers, P.J. Walker being your quarterback of the future would probably be a good move, because if you're the Carolina Panthers and you're still looking to rebuild over the next few years, instead of wasting that first round pick on the quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, you can use that draft pick that you would have used on a quarterback and use it on something else since you got P.J. Walker. Like I said, P.J. Walker is basically the equivalent to a quarterback coming out of the NFL draft or NFL draft quarterback prospect. So when you look at P.J. Walker, you have to look at him as an NFL draft prospect, basically. He's still a guy who isn't going to be able to go into the NFL right now and have immediate success. He's still a guy who has to wait a year or two, learn how Teddy Bridgewater to get better, but potentially, I believe that he can become the starting quarterback and the franchise quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And you look at Teddy Bridgewater's deal is not that large. It's only like worth 60-something million. That's chunk change compared to what guys like Ryan Tannehill are making or Derek Carr. So, I mean, if you're the Carolina Panthers, you look at a guy like P.J. Walker, you're looking at that's a great value. And if you're Matt Rule, you're looking at a guy, you're saying, hey, I got a guy who I coached with in college. I got a guy who basically is the equivalent to a first-round caliber quarterback if he was to have entered the NFL draft. And plus, you're looking at a guy who you basically can develop for the next few years and potentially insert into the starting lineup without having to waste a first-round selection on a quarterback like a Trevor Lawrence or Fields. And you can use that first-round selection on another position of need. Like maybe bringing in another corner, maybe bringing in another linebacker, maybe bringing in another safety or something like that in the next upcoming years. And I think that's really smart on behalf of the Carolina Panthers to bring in P.J. Walker. I think P.J. Walker is more than capable of being the quarterback of the future for the Carolina Panthers. And pretty much his worst game was against the Seattle Dragons, which was the last game that he played, and he threw 2 interceptions in. But that's pretty much his worst performance. Other than that, this dude was a stud. And even in his worst game, he was still shining bright. He threw 2 interceptions, but had 3 touchdowns that same game as well. So, I mean, you look at P.J. Walker, I think P.J. Walker is good enough to be the quarterback of the future for the Carolina Panthers. Now, you guys let me know what you guys think about P.J. Walker down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.